Out of Order Gun Rights Podcast, episode 116.
Welcome to the Out of Order Podcast, your window into the firearms community, exploring those shaping the future of our rights and protecting our lifestyle, laws, legal cases, activism, and self-defense in a candid and honest podcast for our brothers and sisters in arms. Here's your host, James Kalita.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Thanks for tuning in to episode 116 of the Out of Order Gun Rights Podcast. Show notes page for today's episode are outoforderjameskalita.com/116. Today's sponsors are Scott Shot. Whether you are taking a class as a complete beginner or an experienced, highly competent shooter seeking an NRA instructor certification, Scott Shot classes are comfortable, friendly, and taught with a high instructor-to-student ratio. And by the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast, weekly reports and commentary on civilian self-defense. Today's guest is Sue Mogle from Indiana State Rifle and Pistol Association. And now, here's Sue. Sue Mogle, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So, Sue, you're the Executive Vice President of the Indiana State Rifle and Pistol Association. Would you tell us a little about that?
The Indiana State Rifle and Pistol Association is the state arm of the state affiliate for the National Rifle Association. We also partner with Midway Foundation, Indiana Youth Shooting Sports Foundation, Gun Owners of America to basically support Second Amendment issues and support shooting sports in Indiana.
All right. And so how did you become involved with the organization?
Several years back, I had always wanted to, I'd done a lot of planking as a kid and had always wanted to kind of get back into it as an adult, had wanted to get a gun for self-protection, particularly when I lived alone by myself, and never really wanted to get a gun until I had time to learn how to do it right, because I figured 2 o'clock in the morning when somebody's breaking through your door is not the time to learn the magazine release from the safety. So back in '94, one of my colleagues, I'm a nurse, retired now, but one of my colleagues at the time, very avid shooter, has his own range here in Indiana, but was getting a group together to go out to a gun site out in Arizona and wanted me to go along with them. It was a week-long class. They had, most of them were taking a shotgun class, and I was going along for a pistol class. I thought, well, it'd be a good opportunity to maybe get some good instruction, have a good time, go out and see Arizona. I came home hooked. So it was a great time, great bunch. 6 of us from Indiana went out and just had a really, really good time. Very, very good class. And it was such a good time. We went out for about 3 or 4 more classes out there for vacations. And at one of the instructors out there got me interested in shooting high power. So that was back in '98. I originally thought it just sounded like watching paint dry, but I tried it anyway and got very actively involved in that. From there, one of the people who was involved with organizing the high power events down in the Camp Atterbury was the vice president for high power for the state association. And when she left, she and her husband kind of dropped out to pursue other activities, and they needed somebody to take over and asked me to fill in. And almost 15 years later, here I am.
Wow.
So it's kind of a long story, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, but there is that that common theme where you go out, and there's that one instance that gets you hooked.
Yep.
But
just a lot of fun and it's just a great time. A lot of good people in the sport.
Yes, that's very true. So what's it like in Indiana for gun owners? What's the gun law situation? Is it relatively good? Is there?
Generally pretty favorable. We have our governor is pro Second Amendment, and our first lady is an NRA instructor herself. Absolutely outstanding resource and Second Amendment supporter, avid sportswoman. She's terrific, Janet Holcomb.
Oh, okay.
I
Oh,
can't speak highly enough of our Indiana is a very good state to be gun owner.
excellent. And is there anything you guys are working on trying to improve?
Our legislature is in session now. We're on the second half of the legislative session right now. They've got a couple bills in the one that's just passed the House in the Senate right now, working towards strengthening the law to protect gun owners who, God forbid, are forced to use a firearm in self-defense. So that's kind of working
Great.
its way through the legislature right now, and we're hopeful that will be supported. But right now it's looking pretty good.
Excellent. That's so good to hear. With so many states that we used to think of as pro-gun slowly drifting, and this year quickly drifting into anti-gun states,
Yeah.
it's good to hear that's still safe somewhere.
In Indiana's still good. You know, we the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. So you can't let your guard down too much. But yeah, right now Indiana's still a good state.
And you have an event coming up, a concealed carry fashion show. Would you like to tell us about that?
Yes, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's the Saturday evening, April 27th. The NRA convention, annual meeting and convention will be here in Indianapolis, April 26th through 28th. And we're really excited about looking forward to that. That Saturday evening, among other events at the Convention Center and elsewhere, we've got up at the Riviera Club in Indianapolis, we're going to be hosting a fashion firearms. It's a concealed carry. We're calling it concealed as revealed because it's options for women. We're also going to include the guys in here, but we're going to have vendors who are going to have holsters and various and sundry carry options available to show and kind of demonstrate how those can work with women's fashions or a lot of different venues. Women don't particularly want to just be limited to jeans and a tactical vest when they're out and about for business wear or casual events. So we want to be safe, we want to be protected, but we also want to look good too. So we want to see how some of those carry options will work with fashions for women.
Yeah,
everyday fashion.
Yeah, that's something that's really hard. Is a lot of firearm instructors are men, and they just say, dressed for the gun, but that's not really practical.
It's not always practical, exactly.
So, what kind of events does ISRPA run throughout the year for its members?
Right now, we're primarily focused on the shooting sports. We have state championships throughout the shooting season. We've got a state championship going on right now up in Fort Wayne. It's a really, really neat event. Fort Wayne is home to the X Count, run by Diane Rice and her husband, Greg Rice. Greg coaches and Diane runs the office and general management. They built this facility for junior shooters for airgun and small bore. And they're expecting over the course of 3 weekends, they'll get somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 shooters. Teams from all over the state and other states as well. So it's a really exciting event. We also have high power being your centerfire up to 30 caliber, 3-position and or long range. We're actually able to shoot long range out to 1,000 yards and even beyond that down at the military side on Camp Atterbury. Those are state sanctioned, ISRPA sanctioned matches. We sanction those matches as the state affiliate, and then the host clubs actually carry out those events for us. So we've got, I believe we've got small bore, we've got air rifle, we've got sporter air rifle, several different high power events at reduced course, 100 yard, 300 yard, and our full course for high power is shot at 200 to 600 yards. Very few ranges can actually accommodate that kind of range, that kind of yardage. So they do a visually reduced course on 100 yards and out to 300 yards.
Oh, wow.
We've got several of those.
And so what can people listening throughout the country, how can they help you guys?
Check out our website, check us out on Facebook, contact us, let us know what kind of events you'd like to see. Come to the Fashion and Firearms event. We've got tickets on sale now.
Oh, okay. Yep. Tickets on sale. All right. And so do you have it, like, just so people have an idea, do you know, like, how many different types of holsters or how many I don't know if models is the right way to ask, but how many models are going to be there?
Honestly, I am not sure. I'm still in the planning stage, and I'm doing more with coordinating the event and the stage and kind of the nuts and bolts of it. And then Amanda Suffolcool and Dawn Hillier are working with me to get the models arranged. And so I've the three of us are kind of working together, and I'm not quite sure I'm well versed on how many and what the details of the models are. It'll be a surprise.
Oh, yeah. And it really does sound like it's going to be a great event, because we see all these holsters advertised, you know, that sometimes you look at them and you're like, I can't imagine that would work. And they're all, you know, $25, $30, $50 holsters to bring it home and find out that it doesn't quite look right or doesn't quite operate right.
It doesn't quite fit the gun, doesn't fit the belt, doesn't fit the doesn't look right with whatever you're wearing or wanted to wear it with. And you can get quite a bit of money sunk in accessories, and then have a whole drawer full, a whole closet full of them that you wish you'd had a chance to try before you bought.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's definitely sounds like something people should check out, and that it's during the NRA convention is going to be great, because you'll get people from all over the country.
Exactly. A lot of the vendors that will be there at the NRA convention will also have some products available at the Fashion and Firearms show. So if you see something that you like at Fashion and Firearms, you can go back to the convention on Sunday. We will have, I believe, some of the vendors will have product for sale at the Fashion and Firearms, but we'll also have the whole NRA convention there. So again, if you see something you like, you can go back down and either order or purchase it there.
Great. I always ask my guests if they have books that they recommend that every gun owner should read, whether about firearms or history or politics. Any come to mind?
Oh my gosh, there's several out there. I've recently gotten involved with the United States Concealed Carry Association. They have several good books out. I just got my catalog for the NRA store, and they've got a lot of options. A lot of good videos out there, depending on what you're interested in, whether it's Second Amendment legislation, tactics, different events, different types of shooting. There's a lot out there, and a lot of videos out now. Some of them very good. The Gunfight, where I originally started, has pro shop out there that has a lot of good stuff. Kind of racking my brain to condense my thoughts here, but yeah, there's so many options.
Yeah. So you mentioned in the beginning that you grew up plinking, but you wanted training before you got a firearm for defensive purposes. Is there advice you would have for women in a similar situation? You know, what kind of training, where, or what type of firearm, or anything like that?
There's so many good options available, and there's so many good organizations out there to support women shooting. Check around, check with your state association. You know, if you're in Indiana, you can always go to our website or contact us. we'll be more than happy to point you in the right direction to classes in your area, or well-armed woman, woman armed and ready. There's a lot of organizations out there for women, and there's a lot of classes that are ladies only. That are really nice introduction, because most women who are just starting out, guys grew up around tools and feeling comfortable with firearms or various and sundry tools, that kind of thing. Women didn't so much. And we don't want to look stupid in front of the guys by not really knowing how to handle a gun from the beginning. So a lot of these ladies-only classes, you get a good beginner class. They'll walk you through it, let you try. A lot of them have firearms that you can try and see what fits your hand, see what works for you. It's not necessarily going to be a small revolver or a little tiny, easily carried pistol. See what works for you. See what fits. Try several different ones, different calibers. A lot of women honestly tend to be better shooters than a lot of the guys, and it's because we're naturally more coachable. We approach it as, I don't know what this is, but I want to learn, and that's a very good start, good place to start.
Great. And so I'll put links to the Concealed Carry Fashion Show and the ISR PA on the website. Is there any other social media or websites I should link to there?
We're on Facebook. We've got Indiana Girls with Guns on our Facebook page. That's for the women of the ISRPA, specifically the girls. We've got, and then we've got our regular ISRPA website, and we've got our ISRPA Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
So come visit us.
Yeah. Tell me about Indiana Girls with Guns. What's
That was started by our Vice President for Women, Linda Levin, several years back. She had the idea for just Indiana Girls with Guns, kind of a comfortable, inviting women to come out, learn to shoot. We made up some T-shirts and went to several events, and just basically, we partnered with the well-armed women at the time, and just ways to get women involved, get training, get information out there. She has gone on and passed on the torch to Dawn Hillier, Hiding Hilda. Dawn is a neat lady, and she's going to do a great job kind of taking over the women of the ISRPA and moving us forward, supporting women in shooting sports, and women who want to get training and learn to protect themselves and learn safety and have fun.
Great. Well, Sue, I thank you so much for being on the show. Any parting words for our listeners?
Just, I guess, come out and see us. Check out Fashion and Firearms, and check out some of the opportunities in your area, and have fun with it. Learn and have fun.
I thank you for being on the show. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to episode 116 of the Out of Order Gun Rights Podcast. Show notes page for today's episode is outoforderjameskalita.com/116. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.